Hey guys, it's Thursday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. I promise, no tricks, okay? No tricks from me. Just a few things we need to get done today. Play some pranks on your siblings later on, but give mom and dad a break, okay? All right, so last week on Thursday in my video, I told you about how extremely impressed and excited I was about how well we did with our discussion board overall last Wednesday when we were writing about the rise of fandom and what kind of effects that has on people and on society. And so I had a lot of people using all kinds of text evidence, kind of using some of their own experiences to help support their ideas. And then in our replies to our classmates, we were doing a really good job of building that conversation rather than saying, yeah, that was a good idea, I agree, or hey, you spelled that wrong. Okay, those are the kinds of replies that we're not looking for. We're not looking for, let's correct somebody. We're looking for, what did you think of what they had to say? How can you build on that? Let's have a discussion. Let's continue the conversation. Okay, so to that end, we are working on a discussion board today. That's our very first assignment. So again, a few points. You won't be able to see anyone else's until you post yours. Okay, so you have to post yours before you can see what other people are saying, because we want to know what you think, not what you kind of cobbled together from what everybody else thinks. Okay, so that's point number one. And then you need to make sure that you're giving a complete, well thought out response. That means that you're thinking about how to support the ideas that you're going to present. In this case, after reading the story Aftershocks, it's going to be based on what you read in the story, but also your own experiences and observations. So we're looking for details and examples and even text evidence to support the ideas that you're presenting, because our prompt this week asks you to compare and contrast the situation that Katie finds herself in after the earthquake and the tsunami and the nuclear power plant kind of leaking and all of that kind of thing. So after she experiences all of that, what are the aftershocks? And then how does that compare and how does it contrast with what we're experiencing right now in the United States as a result of the coronavirus outbreak? So kind of comparing and contrasting what Katie was experiencing and what her family was going through and what you're experiencing and what you're going through. So again, there are some pretty surface level comparisons that you can make, and that's perfectly okay in this case, because I don't want you digging around in personal things that you're not comfortable sharing with people. So if you've got some personal stuff going on and you're like, I don't want to talk about that, that's fine. Just look for the surfacey things that are similar. Like hint, Katie talks about a track meet that may or may not be rescheduled. I wonder if there's anything like that might be going on in our lives right now, especially after the governor's announcement on Monday. We'll see what happens. So there's an idea for you to get you started on how to complete that discussion board without getting too deeply personal, okay? And then, of course, we're not using our discussion board as a means to bully or otherwise intimidate or make fun of anybody, okay? So it's still school, even if we're not in the building. Same thing goes for your replies. Make sure that you're being positive. If you disagree with somebody, great. If you've got something to add to what they have to say, wonderful. But do those things respectfully, always with respect, okay? All right, so that's our discussion board. Our other tasks for today, there's two others. So since I dove right into that and didn't give you the preview ahead of time, let me go through the preview. So the preview is discussion board, which we've already covered in depth, and then inferences, which I'm going to talk about here in just a moment, and then reading plus. You need to do reading plus, and you need to do it well. More on that in a minute. So we've got our discussion board. Let's talk about inferences. So Inferences are something we've discussed multiple times throughout the school year. We've talked about this skill a little bit, but I'm just going to go over it really quickly. An inference is when you draw a conclusion about what an author is trying to say from things that they do say, and sometimes things that they don't even say at all. Like sometimes the things that they leave out, you go, wonder why they didn't mention that. Maybe I can draw a conclusion based on that. If you do that, that's called an inference. So you use what an author says and what they don't say in order to draw conclusions about the overall topic. It's kind of like, if you remember the expression we've talked about before, reading between the lines. We are like, this is what it says, but I think if you look a little deeper, there's something more there. That's an inference. Okay, so for example, and hopefully this will be on your screen where you can see it as well. If not, please look at the notes for this lesson to help you out. So this will only hurt for a second, Dr. Thomas said while preparing the shot. Eva squeezed her eyes shut and gripped the paper gown. What conclusion can you draw? Is it A, Eva has the measles? B, Eva has never been to the doctor before? C, Eva is scared of getting shots? Or D, Eva doesn't like Dr. Thomas? So think about that for a second. Which of those makes the most sense? See which answer you came up with. All right. So if we look at what the text says, there are a couple of things that we can look at in particular that help us to find the right inference that we can make from this excerpt. So this will only hurt for a second while he's preparing the shot. Preparing the shot. Okay? Eva squeezed her eyes shut and gripped her paper gown. When I squeeze my eyes shut and hold on to my clothing, what might I feel? I feel like when I do things like that, I'm scared. And there's a shot. So I think that we can reasonably infer here that Eva is scared of getting shots. I don't think that she dislikes Dr. Thomas based on that. I definitely don't think she has the measles. And what was the other one? She's never been to the doctor before. There's nothing in there that implies, or there's nothing in there that would cause me to infer that she's never been to the doctor before. So that would be an example of making an inference. So in your assignment on inferencing, when you open this document, you'll be like, I've seen this multiple times this year, because you have. We've done inferencing activities exactly like this one multiple times. So the very first one is done for you so that you can kind of model your responses after this, after number one, okay? So number one gives you a couple of pieces of text evidence in the box on the left, okay? And so in the box on the left, you'll see a couple of pieces of text evidence that are going to support the inference that's in the box on the right. Okay, so they did both sides of it in the first one. But when you get to the second box, I believe in the second box, they're going to give you some text evidence, and then they ask a question, and you have to make an inference based on the text evidence in the box on the left. You get to question number 3, they're going to give you an inference, and you're going to have to go find 2 pieces of text evidence to put in that box that support the inference that was made. And then we'll do that another time. So there's 4 total questions that you have to answer. 2 of them, you're making the inference, and the other 2, you're going to give the text evidence that supports the inference that's in the box on the right. All right, so again, this should be familiar to you because we've done it multiple times this year. So when you finished with that PDF, save it, and then upload and submit it to Canvas. Finally, we have full assignments of Reading Plus every week while we're doing this online schooling, okay? So Virtual Delta Middle School is doing Reading Plus. It is due on Sunday, just like it always is. I gave a lot of zeros for last week's Reading Plus assignment, and I gave a lot of single-digit scores. So what that tells me is that maybe we're doing our Reading Plus, but we're not paying attention to our reading. We're not answering questions to the best of our ability. Maybe we're trying to play video games, or I don't know, do the dishes at the same time, but we're not putting the same level of concentration into it that we do when we're at school. So we need to make sure that we're working on that for this week and the weeks to come, okay? So Reading Plus, do it and do it well, okay? We can definitely do better than we did last week. So to review, Aftershocks discussion board posting, make sure that you post a response and then reply to someone else's. Just like last week, try to reply to someone who doesn't have a lot of replies on there, so that we're not all working off of the same 2 responses, because then we'll eventually run out of things to say. Okay, so try to spread out your replies a little bit. Then you've got your inferencing assignment. Please make sure that when you get it finished, you turn it in. We had a lot of people last week finish things and then not turn them in. And so then I'm sending out 22 emails on Monday saying, hey, you don't have all your assignments done. And people going, oh, I had it done, I just didn't turn it in. So you know how all year long I've been saying, when you finish the assignment, turn it in? Still saying that right now. When you finish the assignment, turn it in. Okay, so make sure you're getting your stuff turned in, not just completed, but turned in. And then finally, let's get our Reading Plus done and let's do a little bit better job this week, okay? All right, well, happy Wednesday to you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me on Canvas, or log into my office hours from 10 to 11 a.m. every day and 1 to 2 p.m. every day. Have a great day.